Welcome to our podcast, Below the Belt. Welcome to our national podcast, folks. Welcome to our international podcast. Wherever you are joining us from today, we are so privileged to have each and every one of you. Happy Saturday, folks. Happy Saturday. Hope it is fine weather where you are, and hope you guys are easing into the weekend, and the weekend is easy on you as well. Great to have each and every one of you joining us from around the world, guys. Good to have you. Fantastic weekend to each and every one of you. Privileged as always to have you guys with us. Lots of things to talk about today. Lots of things to talk about. Good to have you guys. We are so very privileged to have all of you here with us. We're going to be talking about corruption and embezzlement at the PPP control NDC, at a PPP control NDC in region number 1. Folks, you think them boys easy? Them boys ain't easy at all. They come back. They come back. As we join the live stream, guys, we encourage you to share the program. And as well, we want to see those emojis. Happy Saturday, Marilyn King and Carl Fordyce. Happy Saturday, Carol Hudson, George Arnon, Arman, and George Ammon, and also Kip, Kip Scott, Vashti Magnot, Waterloo, Canada. Welcome. Below the Belt, Tessa Isaacs, Gravesandi has joined us as well. Enid Elliott is here too. Monica is here. And is it Nwasi Griffith? I hope we pronounced that well. Pace and power, Nwasi. Pace and power. Brenda Braffett, pace and power in 2022. Welcome, Claire Capel. Welcome, Michaela Webster. Come on down. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. And I hope you guys are having better weather than we are in the national capital city of Georgetown, Guyana, where we broadcast our international podcast from. We hope it's better weather. It's raining here, guys. Raining cats and dogs. Raining cats and dogs, folks. Cats and dogs. How is the weather where you are? What are you guys having for lunch? What has made your Saturday lunch menu, folks? I want to know. We fast. And since we're on Twitter, since we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we on the Blue app, Meta, we fast. Facebook, we fast. So let us know. We want to know what you guys are having for lunch. We want to know what the weather is like where you guys are. It is 27 degrees outside. They tell us, however, it feels like 31. It feels like 31. Feels like 31, guys. And according to weather.com, this is our favorite place, our favorite stop for the news as it pertains to the weather. And they're telling us there's a 7 to 9% chance it's going to rain. Well, guys, it's raining right now. It is raining right now where we are. So much to share with you guys. So many things to say right now, folks. So many things to say. How is the weather where you are? What's on the menu for lunch? What is your palate calling for lunch today, folks? We're going to be joined, as I said, by our a member of parliament, Ronald Cox. And Ronald hails from Region 1. And we're going to be joined by a councillor from that area as well. We're going to be joined by a councillor for that area as well. So stay tuned to that. Marilyn Thomas says it's sunny but cold. Where is this, Marilyn? Rowena Williams says it's rainy in Linden. Well, it's rainy in Georgetown too, Rowena. It's rainy here too. And William Kosher says it's very, very cold as normal in Toronto. Well, Mr. Kosher, you have to stay as warm as you can, my brother. Stay as warm as you can. So Guyanese who crying out for this little cold with this little rain here. You know nothing yet. William says it's very cold as normal in Toronto. Well, I'd rather this little cold we got here than the cold William has in Toronto. John Simmons, we see you. John. We see you. Savannah Page. How are you doing? Savannah Page, how are you doing? I think Savannah is telling us it's raining. It's raining. Is that the emoji there? I hope I'm reading it right. It's raining. Oh, Michaela says, yeah, hold, stop the clock. Stop the clock, folks. Michaela says she's having sausage rice, cream potatoes, and swizzle orange swank. Wow. Wow. Swizzle orange swank. I've never heard about that before, but I'm willing to learn, Michaela, willing to learn. Sausage rice, my lord. My lord. Very, what do you call this? Sausage rice. Very Epicurean. Sausage rice, folks. Cream potatoes and some swizzle orange swank. Like to have me a sip of that up in the hizzer. Nicole Hardy. Oh, you guys are doing Nicole says she's having some. Let me see what she's having here. Nicole says she's having some Dolan rice and curry pork. I had some good curry yesterday at the National Assembly. That was lunch, folks. Some good curry at the National Assembly. Deborah Clark. Deborah Clark says it's bright and sunny in Barbados. I'd love to hear Deborah's accent. Deborah, how you doing, my sister? How you doing? How things? All right, all right. Deborah sent me some lovely newspapers, I think. Some of the, is it the Barbados Today? Thanks so much, Deborah. I love the foreign newspapers just to get a sense of what's happening where you guys are, just to get a sense of what's happening where you are. Thanks so much for your generosity, uh, Deborah. And I see Richard Fordyce is here as well. Good afternoon, Robin O'Rain. Good afternoon, Robin. Ann Webb is here too. Ann, how are you doing? How is your weekend treating you, Ann? Clear Alexis Richmond. Charmley Richmond is here too. She didn't take any left. And Webb says it's sunny and cold in New York. Wow. Sunny and cold in New York. One of my favorite songs by Frank Sinatra is Autumn in New York. If this podcasting, I walk on the guy a little fall back. I want you alone. I said, boy, but thanks. If the podcast I work out, we gotta fall back. Always gotta fall back. Marlon King, good to see you. Good to see you, folks. Good to see each and every one of you. Folks, we're so grateful to have you guys with us. So grateful, folks like Dinish Paragon and Debbie Debbie Gibbs. Good to have you. Andrew Cuthbert and Siobhan McLeod. You guys, you beautiful souls, you beautiful, fantastic people. You make the program what it is. You make the program what they are. All the programs, guys. And we're so grateful to have you. We are so grateful to have you guys. Lots of stuff happening on the ground here. Let me let you all know that. Lots of stuff. And, I know that those of you who are in the diaspora, you've been feeling our pains. But, folks, we on the ground, it's only wear the shoes, with pinching, with the hole there. And we're thankful for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora across the divide who have been commensurating, folks, with the pains we're feeling here, the economic pains, things tight, people, things tight. And folks, don't take our word for it. Do not take our word for it alone. As we say, we like to get the valid and credible information for you guys. And lots of people are talking about the economics playing out locally. Lots of people, folks, I ain't asking you all if things well. I'm telling you all. I am telling you, things are bad. Things are bad. Right? But we're holding strain, folks. We're holding strain. Right? Our Luther continue or the struggle continues. We're holding strain. This is the plight of one family. This is the plight of one family. 2 budgets later. And we've been following this. We've even posted it on my Facebook page at Sherrod Avery Duncan. And it's also posted on my profile and some other places as well. Guys, things tight. And we're following the plight of various families, trying to navigate the economic turmoils in this country. And not all of it, as I'll show to you just now, is what's happening overseas. And that will set the stage for our discussion with our brother Ronald Cox, Member of Parliament, and the councillor who is supposed to be joining us also from Region 1, Mr. Lex Barker is going to be joining us as well. Lex Barker, the councillor there from Region 1. We're going to be talking with them on the other side of this. But take a listen, right, to the economic plight. This is a young man talking. Remember the other day I told you, it flashed across the news. A 6-year-old walking from Little Diamond to at Diamond Grove, and a policeman, being so helpful to him. The young man was terribly hungry. He was hungry. He was hungry. He was in search of food. You're searching food, right? And then again, here we have now, and yet another family crying out, folks, for help, help. You know why? Things tight, things tight. Some of you initially would have dismissed this. It's just the opposition. It's just the opposition mechanized and carrying on. You can't please them. You can't please them boys at all. You can't please them boys. Well, here, listen to this, folks. Listen to the agony of this young man. Listen to the agony of this family. Listen to their pains. Take a listen.
How does it make you feel that you had to come out to school?
Feel bad, boss. All about the education. I can't get education. But I've been getting money. Sometimes I can eat. Go to school. When I be at school, me the drink and tea, and I go to school with. Sometimes I come back after me, I get on food, and I go to my grandmother and eat. But I've been getting money. Not money I've been at school with. My grandmother doesn't give me the food right now. Nobody not give me food. Even she not enough to be cook. What me daddy do for me, nobody not do it. Because me father love us, all of us. And even like to see grandparents.
What's your dream? What do you want to be?
I want to go back to school and get me education. I need justice right now. But all the pathetic education I can't get.
So you want to go back to school?
Yeah.
So if the opportunity is provided to you, you would go back to school?
Yeah.
And what do you want to be?
I want to be a good, like a doctor or something else, something else or anything else. Like worker minister or anything.
Yeah, good education.
When we were in grade 5, we been bright since we daddy left us. And since we don't have the money to go back to school, I don't do nothing. Nothing I don't do. I've been some good maths, good social studies out. Now I don't do nothing. I can't do nothing back.
So now you're fishing.
I'm fishing now. I know I have nothing in my brain.
You're smart.
All I want to know is a walk.
I'll go one side.
You're too big a walk. Maybe see one, we come on the, you see a little down, but you can't go back and catch fish. You can't get asa.
And what do you all have to eat today?
A little down and rice, mom. You cook it up, get to eat. It's alright. What we get up, you eat. I mean, not sure about anything. But I mean, what's right and what is wrong.
So you used to go to Bushlat Secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah, school right coming.
One teacher
What farm you went in?
farmer.
You don't teach alone and teacher push up. It's only go school and teacher is telling me, say, this life in a school, you've been, why I tell her that right, say, you've been a be a doctor because you've been a good school. I teacher tell her why you want me, say you want me. But then I get the money for send them to school. One day off, then I get the money for send them. One morning, say I get the way till I go fishing come, I then for send them to school is very high for that. Sometimes you go back down, you know, just go back down.
Yep. That's what's happening, guys, on that front. That is what is happening on that front. Folks, we're telling you things tight. Things tight. Things tight. Things tight. You all heard that? Things tight, guys. Things tight. And I wanna put against that before I bring in our guest this morning. I wanna put with that some of the thoughts that I read that was shared with the world, perhaps, through a Starbucks News editorial just this morning. Now, this is a family from, you heard that, Bushlot. This is Region 5. Region 5, and they are hurting, folks. Hurting. This is a make-up story, you know. This is not politics being played here. All we do, we look for the information, and we bring it to you to give you a sense what is exactly happening. Where we are, Things are tight. And Sabak News said, and why this editorial is so important, it says here that it's not just about COVID impacting prices of commodities on the world market, and so import prices might be high, and so goods are going to be high. But things that are being produced right here, vegetables and so forth, plantain and so forth, produced right here, sky high in terms of the prices, and there is little, if any, accounting for that. That is the point Starbucks News was making in today's article. And I want to quote two small sections of that editorial for you, just out of Starbucks News today, to give you a sense. And hopefully, you understand. You have a better context of what's happening locally. Here what Starbucks News says. The editorial is the header for the editorial today, February 5th, 2020. The editorial is High Hopes and High Prices. High hopes and high prices. And after the program, you're free to read it on Sabak News website for yourself. Sabak News editorial, and again, I pick it as an editorial, quote unquote, independent. You know, if we wrote something like this, you say it's bias, it's new ifs, it's them boys, it's the opposition. They ain't like nothing the regime doing. They ain't like nothing. But this is Sabak News, fairly balanced. We got our own qualms with them every now and again, but fairly balanced all in all. This is the editorial, high hopes and high prices. Last Thursday, we were told by the finance minister, Dr. Ashni Singh, that inflation was 5.9 and food inflation was 11.6 in 2021. Housewives know better. The situation is far dire. Housewives know better. The situation is far dire. That's one portion of the editorial. And the editorial ends this way. The header is High Hopes and High Prices. Here's how the editorial ends. However one looks at it, this feels very much like inflationary times at the moment when the people are expecting a better standard of living. In the interval, the size of the chasm between the technicolor dreams painted by the government and the lived reality of the working class Guyanese can also be a measure of the country's political stability. The greater the disconnect, the editorial reads, the higher the dissatisfaction. In this respect, more could have been done in this budget for the working poor, but the government has chosen its path and must now look to preach patience while promising the moon. The government, that's how the editorial ends, the government, right? In this respect, more could have been done in this budget for the working poor, but the government has chosen its path and must now look to preach patience while promising the moon. Things tight here, folks. Jackie Baird, Chisung Henry, things tight. Things tight. June Cameron, Candiline Inderjit, Chisung Henry, Daphne Aaron, things tight, my people. And maybe it is because things are tight that recently we saw some unscrupulous action at the Region 1 NDC, the subject of our discussion today. Unscrupulous action. But we often say in this program, even if things tight, you can have your integrity intact. Even if things tight, you can be still steered by a moral compass. Even if things tight, you can have character and decency. Even if things tight. Even if things tight. You heard the little boy said, we don't trouble nobody thing. We don't trouble nobody things. Things tight. But you hear his value system. We don't trouble nobody thing. And so I am going to bring in very short order our Member of Parliament representing us at Region 2, Mr. Ronald Cox. Because Ronald understands what has been happening in this region number 1 with the PPP. Folks, you can hear some songs, but apologies.
01. You can leave.
All right. We don't seem to have Ronald there as yet. But this is the situation here. This is the situation here. Right? This is the situation here. And the little boy says he needs justice. Right? He needs justice. The economic plight. He can't go to school. And he says he needs justice. He needs justice. What do we do in these situations, folks? What do we do in these situations? Huh? What do we do? You tell me. What do we do in these situations? What do we do? I'm going to try again to get my colleague with us here. And if you give me just a second, we're doing all folks, we're using technology to our disposal. As I said, Ronald is out of Region 1, and we're going to have to bring him in quickly, swiftly. Just bear with us here as we pull him into the conversation. Bear with us here. Things tight, folks. Things tight. There's no other way to put it. Things are tight, tight, tight. Things tight. Let me get Ronald on the line. Things tight. But not because things tight, we can operate anyhow. We can operate all sorts. No. We ain't having it like that. Ronald, very good afternoon. Good afternoon, MP Ronald Cox. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Sharon. Good day. Good day.
Good day, Ronald. We started our program, Below the Belt, our national podcast. We're talking about the economic situation in the country, juxtaposed to the nice time these folks here at the Region 1 NDC are having. And we were telling our listeners that even if things tight, you can't behave the way these people are behaving. You cannot behave the way these people want to behave at all. And Ronald, just to give the folks some background, the Region 1 NDC, they have come under scrutiny recently because there are rumors of corruption and embezzlement and all of that, and a audit was done, an internal audit for all intents and purposes. I'm making sure I have my notes correct. An internal audit was conducted by the internal audit department, I think, of the NDC there. Sometimes the notes take so long to come up because I want to give you guys the facts. I don't want to embellish anything here. This was the, I want to call the name correctly, the Port Kaituma Matthews Ridge Arankaka NDC. The Port Kaituma Matthews Ridge Arankaka NDC. And again, this was the internal audit department looking at the situation there, and the report that they submitted is very damning. Ronald, let me try to bring in our colleague into this discussion as well, if I can, because I don't want him to miss anything at all. And I'm going to try to add him so we can have a fuller discussion on this issue. But this is the situation here. Ronald, talk to us about what's happening on the ground there as Mr. Lex Barker joins the conversation. Ronald. Lex, a very good afternoon, Councillor. You are live on our podcast, Below the Belt. We're just getting into the discussion on the NDC there, the Port Kaituma, Matthews Ridge, Arankaka NDC, and all that is happening there. We see here charges of embezzlement and corruption. Lex, welcome to our program.
Thank you, Sherrod. Good afternoon to all the listeners. First of all, I wish to make it clear that I'm not a councillor on the NDC, Matakai NDC. I'm a councillor on the RDC.
Great.
But I live in the Matakai subregion where that NDC is located, and myself and the councillors there, we have a very good working relationship, and many times I would have to engage the chairman in relation to complaints and so on that might come to me that falls under the preview of the NDC.
Yes,
Um,
because
yeah,
is it correct that the RDC that you are counselor on, the RDC for Region 1 there, they would have supervisory jurisdiction for the NDC?
in some instances, yes,
Mhm.
because they would have uh, like contracts and so on being given to the NDC from the RDC,
Good.
and in that instance, that we will have to have supervisory uh,
Oversight and so
over that.
forth.
Yeah, for that reason.
Fantastic. So let's tell us what's happening here in this NDC.
Well, what has been reported or what I've learned is that there was a audit conducted on the NDC by the audit manager of the local government commission, and several instances of irregularities were uncovered as a result of that audit, and that audit report was submitted to the local government commission, and they did their investigations and they questioned councillors and whatever, and uh, the decision was made in relation to the overseer there and some other clerk that falls under the NDC as a result of these irregularities that were uncovered.
Wow. Ronald, your thoughts? Ronald, you're with us? While Ronald comes in, while Ron one second. While Ronald comes in, I want to have you guys know. Ronald, are you with us?
Sure, then.
Yes, the councillor Lex Barker from the region, the regional councillor, has joined us, and we're talking about the what's happening there at the NDC. The NDC we're talking about there, and in particular, this is the Port Kaituma Matthews Ridge Arankaka NDC. What are your thoughts, Ronald, on the situation there and the damning revelation? I'll go through a couple of them to give the listeners a full understanding in just a moment. Your thoughts, Ronald.
Yeah, sure. Good day, sure. Thank you for having me on your program again. Good day to all your listeners. Um, this situation in the Manchester are a couple of kinds of NDC, PPP control NDC, obviously. It's just another example of PPP corruption
Mm-hmm.
and the corrupt practices in the government or the governing of NDCs and local authorities and so on. We are part of many instances of irregularities, and I guess those were also covered by the local government commission. So they did a initial investigation. They found irregularities, and they said, okay, well, we have to do an audit. So the local government commission did the audit, and the report is out, and that is what we're seeing here. It's reported that the overseer, Kevin Gunn, he has been dismissed. We're not sure how true that is. We have not seen any evidence of dismissal or so on, but we told that he has been dismissed. We had to confirm that. He also learned, Shara, that this overseer had a taxi driver sent to the GBTI bank there in Port Kaituma to change a check for $400,000 with his name.
Wow.
So that scenario, that case is presently being addressed at the Port Kaituma police station at 6. I just got in just a few minutes ago from persons who are actually there on the ground at the police station. And so these are credible information. The situation is very serious. Um, this NDC cannot account for more than for $40 million. I think it is a less 40 million. That's a lot. And
That's the
so
people's money. That's the people's money.
that's the
40
people's
million
money.
Ghana
Just like
dollars cannot be accounted for from this NDC. That's the people's money.
exactly, sir, that's the people's money. And so it's the same thing we see happening in Parliament. The PPP behave as if the budget, the money that is budgeted is coming from their pocket. And so they decide how to spend it and what to tell the opposition and the Guyanese, or they dictate for us then. And so we see this is trickling down into their control and municipalities as well, because there's alleged reports of similarities with Mabruma, the town of Mabruma,
Uh-huh.
and it's also there.
Hmm.
So it's just a matter of time before all these things actually come to light, and we do hope that they will come to light very soon, and persons who are culpable will be brought, because these are people's money, and it should be spent for people, not for yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. And folks who are listening to us around the world, this is what we talk about. Kim Walker and Maureen Coppin Williams, Patricia Kissoon, and all you folks, Vonda Perry, Fraser, Leacock, Marlon King. When we say them boys come back, this is what we're talking about. What is even more um, what is even more to me frightening is that you had the installed minister Onish Waldron, who has responsibility for tourism, commerce, and whatever else it is, industry and commerce, said just this week in the National Assembly, people are always charging that the PPP is corrupt, but there's no evidence, there is no proof. Here is the proof. And as Ronald says, it is just one of the NDCs fingered in corruption. Folks, let me walk you through some of this, and then I want to get some thoughts from Lex and Ronald on some of what was pointed out in this report. As Ronald says, and as Lex said, from the this is the Local Governments Commission's Internal Audit Department, the Local Government Commission Internal Audit Department. Folks, this is some of the stuff that they pointed out. According to this report, and I'm quoting now, the council had established a system to ensure that monies collected are safeguarded by way of lodging daily collections with the Port Kaituma police station in the evenings, and then proceeding to the bank such the following day. Nevertheless, the overseer indicated that this practice would have ceased from an undetermined timeline. Right? So they stopped following those kinds of protocols. In another section of the report, it says the council failed to prepare payment vouchers for expenditures undertaken. It was explained that monies were expended. However, no payment vouchers were prepared. Additionally, in another section of the report, it says, with reference to check payments, the signatories to the bank account of the council would oftentimes sign checks without a payment voucher and other supporting documents. In yet another part of the report, it says, a reconciliation of the toll register where they receive tolls at various parts of the NDC. I'm figuring here the guys can clarify when they respond. A reconciliation of the toll register with receipts issued and the toll register at the toll station revealed the amounts on the receipts would have varied from what was recorded in the respective registers. The report also shows the following monies were embezzled. This is the report. The report's words: the following monies were embezzled by the respective officers of the council. Donna James, in one instance, $457,000 in 58 instances of fraud. Natalie Jacobs, $454,000, again in 58 instances of detected fraud. This is the report I'm reading from. And they were among several other persons implicated in wrongdoing, including folks, the overseer, who has since been dismissed. And the overseer, let me get his name right from our notes. The overseer is Kevin Gumport. Kevin Gumport, according to the report here, right? Dismissed from the NDC. But what is frightening, none of these persons ever faced justice in the true sense as being charged and passed before the courts. And that is why we tell you the PPP come back. Y'all remember Sharon Hicks, the PS from the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs? Still, she's right now charged before the court, but she's on bail. Still earning her full salary from work and all that. And was caught in a police sting operation, having demanded 200,000 a month from a small contractor who does work with the ministry. Them boys come back. Lex, what are your thoughts? That's the report we quoted.
Yeah, sure. Uh, in relation to the toll gate money,
Mm-hmm.
that is a boring issue on till now, and that has been so for years. There's always the unaccountability is received from that location, and that has been a boring issue. What the NDC did in trying to curb that is they started selling the ticket, the pass to the gate
Mm-hmm.
at the NDC off. So the drivers would just present the ticket to the toll clerks at the gate, and no money transaction would be taking place there. So that was one of the measures they tried to curb that toll gate issue. But there has always been a problem with funds coming from the toll gate. Uh, but let me say,
Great
in
ahead,
all
Lex.
fairness, to the overseer and the others there, this $40 million, I think some of that is just because of the record sake, not preparing the vouchers and these things. I don't think the entire 40 million would be missing. I think that some of that would have gone for actual payments and so on. But as we've heard, vouchers were not being prepared and all these kind of things. So there was no accountability for the monies. But that is
And that
their
is the
problem. They
and
need
that
to
is the
take care of.
trouble there. That's the trouble there. How do you know what was actually missing?
Exactly.
If the report says $40 million cannot be accounted for, how do you know what was missed via receipts but was actually paid, or what was just siphoned off? I mean, when you look at the names, I think the report says about 12 persons, for instance, in the toll gate issue, were implicated in wrongdoing. It is staggering that you could have an NDC operating, and it's basically like a cowboy shop. It's a
Exactly.
wild, wild west here. It seems as though anybody did anything that they wanted to do. And I have a different place thing with this here, that you only send home people, right? And people don't face the full brunt of the law, because sending home, I mean, they're getting work other places, they redirect them to someplace else. This PPP government, this is the cronies and so on, to get work. But to save face, you move them off of the scene in this part of the region, but you send them someplace else, right? That is how these folks operate. Lex, your thoughts, and then Ronald can jump in at any point.
Well, as we know, well, it is now out. You have the report. I saw the report,
Hmm.
and I saw the irregularities that were exposed there. All the time we were hearing, because we had no evidence. There was no evidence to prove these things. We just keep hearing, from time to time. However, from the audit report, it is now there, and we can now look forward, hopefully, that some stringent measures will be put in place and action taken against those culpable.
I love that. You got to correct the system, and then you got to hold accountable those who have been involved in wrongdoing. You see, this whole thing about corruption and embezzlement, as the very report says, can't just be words we just use like that, right? These are very, very bad. These are very, very grave issues. Just last week, the day before the budget is read, last week, Tuesday, came the International Corruption Perception Index, where we fell 2 places. Right? You had the former president Barajagio out there saying that oh, it's in APNU time. Is APNU is responsible for that, and their full year of governance is accountable. But here you got instances of corruption and embezzlement. This is a PPP controlled NDC. What do you say? You tell me everybody, the international organizations that look at these issues and have their own yardstick by which they measure in. They ain't seeing, they ain't hearing, they ain't know. This is a challenge here. Ronald, your thoughts?
Yes, Gerald. Like Mr. Barker, like the issue is not just um the embezzlement as is as a serious case as it, but um accountability. There is no accountability. Apparently, monies were paid, and there is no accompanying documentation. But when you said documentation earlier, I said this sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
People voted and no documentation. So it's a similar situation here. Um, I want to call though on the government through the RDC to ensure that they implement a strong investigation process here, or recommend that the police get at the bottom of this, and those who are responsible must be brought to justice and held accountable, not just the overseer. Because the chairman of the NDC from time to time will ask the overseer to sign off on checks and so on, and he just signed, but there's no he has no knowledge of where the money is going, what the money is being paid
That
for.
is madness.
Apparently, he signed off on blank check, and then the chairman probably would put the amount. So these are some of the um, information we don't know how true they are, but like I said, I want the authorities to investigate this thing properly, and if the chairman is also involved, then he must be held accountable. And if accountable means sending him home as well, then we will call for him to be sent home as well. And once they do that, we will respect them for standing up for accountability and transparency. That's what they preach. So the other day when the Honorable Paulie Sukai, if you're going to read out from corruption, and so she started 74, 1, 2, 3. So I said, I hope she was going to read the one with her PS, Sharon Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
And if she did, I would respect her because I said, you are doing the right thing. Your PS is corrupt, and so you highlighting that these are the steps taken, but we fail to do that. So what we see here is that when the corruption is happening within their camp, they try to hide it. But when it is within their camp, they will just do what they have to do. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
call
Mm-hmm.
on them to do exactly this now. Bring those who are responsible to the public, let them be accountable, and if legal process has to be taken, then it must be followed.
Very well, very well. And that is tremendously important. And I like the analogy of, again, documents missing. And the people don't seem to have any problem with that. We are either a country of laws or we aren't. And it seems like GCOM, right? You got a lot of devils in there according to PPP, but Kala Singh seems to be only angel. Y'all got a similar situation. There's a lot of devils in the NDC, but the chairman, like he's the only angel. Everything happening, the chairman I know, right? Everything, she come rotten to the core. Apparently, everybody there's a rig and so on. But Claudette, she's the only saint. It's the same situation. The same situation. Corruption, embezzlement. This is not our words. We're embellishing. The report uses the word embezzlement. They were involved in embezzling the council's funds, right? Whether it's 40 million or it's $40, it's the people money. Whether it is 40 million or it's $40, it's the people's money, right? And we have a duty to account for it. But these guys don't like no accounting system. They don't want paper trail. They don't want a lemon headache of accountability, transparency, and good governance. That's just talks for them. That is just talks. But as I have you guys on the line, I want to ask you, because we don't often talk, and we have to start doing this more about what's happening in the regions. I know Lex says that he's on the RDC. How are things going there? How are things going in the RDC and generally in the sub-region where this NDC is? How are things going there, Ronald? What is happening in Region 1? I hear the last time you and I talked here, Ronald, we talked about how there was a huge, according to the president, a huge crime rate in Region 1 there, and what was responsible for it, and COVID and all that. What's happening in the region?
I
Lex.
don't think much has changed since then, Cheryl.
Hmm.
We continue to see a large influx of Venezuelan migrants
Hmm.
who are generally seeking a better life. And it is reported that there are cases of minor offenses like robbery, snatching away bags, jumping into people's houses, the night, different things. And it's a large, well, most of it are reported to be committed by the Venezuelan migrants. So, yes, the crime situation is up, and I recently spoke with the regional commander of the police, Mr. Putat. He has since transferred to Warbees. But he was good. We had a good talk, and he had some good initiatives. I don't know what extent he was able to implement it. As
Maybe that's why
related
he was
to,
transferred. He was too good. Maybe that's why they transfer him. They want good people in the system there.
well, we hope that the new one is good as he was, because we have a new command here. I'll meet with him when I return. I'm in Georgetown. I haven't the opportunity yet to speak with him. As
Y-
it relates to COVID, Jared, COVID is rampant in Region 1. Every school in Region 1 has students and teachers positive. That is the information I have received so far. Many persons, they just feel sick, and as they go to the test, they're positive. I also learned that the hospital in Mabruma there, persons are simply working there for treatment. They are showing symptoms, and as they do the test, all of them come back positive, positive, positive. And all they do is just ask them, okay, we ask you to go home, remain home, self isolate, and if you develop any symptoms, well, then you return to the hospital. So
mhm.
those persons are positive. They're at home. I don't know how isolated they are, but Sherrod in communities like those in Region 1, persons are not persons are not in a situation to say you have a house, rooms, 3 bedrooms, that you can isolate family members who are positive. These persons generally live open houses, or they may have 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms. I'm speaking here of the outlying community. So self isolation will not work in Region 1. In central Mabuma, it might. Outlying communities, definitely not. So families are at great risk
Mm-hmm.
of contracting
One can
COVID.
imagine.
Right now, I haven't received the numbers, but my suspicion is that the numbers are really high, really high. And So that's the situation with COVID. Um, I am not sure what is the task force plan. I haven't heard anything from them recently, but I know that everything is just normal. It's just that the curfew is there, but otherwise the curfew things are happening normal.
It's like there is
And
no COVID. That's how they're
there's,
operating.
I recall speaking with Minister Colin Cole, who has um responsibility for Region One. He's also Region One on the government side. So I had a conversation with him, and I asked him what would he recommend, seeing that Marlborough is the hot spot in Region One, and his response was, um, I don't think government is prepared. I don't think government is prepared to shut down any community or anything.
Uh
I don't
huh.
think we'll resort to that.
Uh huh.
He said, no matter what we do, COVID is there. COVID won't go. So we have to, we to work around it. That was his response.
And as a matter of fact,
So
the installed Minister of Health has been recently reported as saying that some of the persons who would have died with COVID-19, would chances are they perhaps had fake COVID-19 cards. They,
yes, I saw that. I saw that. So they are resorting to, that those persons who have died had vaccine, but they did not take the vaccine. Right?
no evidence
That
again,
is,
no evidence. Just he just throws that out.
it shows out. I saw the regional chairman for Region One also on his Facebook page. Um, alluded to a similar instance. He was saying that if you know your vaccination card is fake, you're not fooling anyone, but you're fooling yourself, and you're putting yourself at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I commented on his post, and I said, you are the head of the regional task force on COVID, and if you have information that this vaccination card is in circulation, then you need to implement measures to address the issue. And those healthcare
Correct.
providers
Correct.
who are
Correct.
culpable, you need to deal with them accordingly. There
Correct.
was no response from him, but a subsequent post on his page says the Region 1 MP now seems to want to become relevant. That's all he said. I don't see anything wrong with my comment.
Uh-huh.
He should have called me. He has my number. Thank you for your concern, and
Shame.
we will address the issue. But I know they had issues where persons were suspected to be engaged selling the COVID vaccination card. I know there were issues where persons were at the police station. But again, I spoke with Mr. Kroll, Minister who has responsibility for Region 1. He says he's aware of those situations, but they have to get the evidence. And the evidence involves persons who actually bought the card to come forward and to testify that they actually did. And so those persons don't wish to come forward, and so they cannot proceed with the legal system.
Yep, folks. That's how it's going. Lex, what are your thoughts about the region generally and what's happening there?
Well, I would endorse what Mr. Cox said in relation to the migrants and the vaccination card issue. If you have evidence that persons have forged vaccination books, then you know what needs to be done. It's a forgery,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
if you have the evidence, then get the persons who are found with it, and deal with it. In relation to the migrants, there has been a lot of them in the sub-region. I haven't heard much about them getting involved in criminal activities and so on. I just heard about a few minor instances.
Uh-huh.
But what I can tell you, they are more inclined to a lot of violence. But that happens mostly amongst themselves. they have to fight with these forces where cutlass were involved. These matters are not reported to the police. When they finish their story, they finish with it. There were two persons who were living in close proximity to where I am that suffered chops about their bodies. But apparently, I don't know, I'm not sure if they did report it, but it was a fight amongst Venezuelans, and they were chopped up about their bodies. And they were big people in the 40s and so.
And
Right.
making the headlines as you run that, Lex. Just recently, we reported right at this end that some Venezuelan teenagers were placed were on an attempted murder charge for stabbing a young woman, right? And all of this is happening right here. And I have no trouble with our neighbors being in dire financial straits themselves because of the leadership in their country, and us as a people, because we're hospitable and charitable in that way, trying to help them. I have no problem with that. But we have to arrest that situation where, as you rightfully said, Lex, you have this kind of violence in our society, because it's only time, before it spills over
Yes.
into other places, and involving other persons. And I don't think we have a handle on it, as you guys are clearly saying here in Region One, and the various the various places in where the Venezuelan migrants inhabit there. Ronald?
Yes, that's for sure. We don't seem to have a handle, you rightly said. We don't have a hold on the situation. Um, the situation will remain the same or will get worse. And it is the government's responsibility to ensure that measures are put in place to effectively deal with the situation. We cannot get away from the fact that Venezuelans will continue to cross border, will continue to come to Guyana, and those are within the bordering community. They are seeking a better life. They have no means of providing basic needs for their family, so they will resort to extreme action. And so I want to call on the government to see how best we could actually integrate these persons in society. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but at the regional level, one time when I spoke with the regional chairman and the mayor, there were plans to build what they call, um, I can't recall the name. I'm not sure if it's um, something similar to what we call refugee camp, but will accommodate these displaced Venezuelans. So they come and they just be all over the place. They're going to develop identified location for communities. They're going to put them there. They're going to encourage them to do farming, probably get employed in some of the business places or something. So
Mm-hmm.
you try to
Mm-hmm.
integrate them into regular life so as to decrease possibility of criminal activity happening within the country. With the other situations, I trust that things are put in place so that services in the region can come to pass. I know I mentioned in the budget debate that the hospital is said to be a smart hospital. Um, I saw people commenting and said that is true. You operate the hospital, a smart hospital, but there's no ambulance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
or if there is, there's only one that cannot suffice the price for everything on all the communities around Mabuma. There is no vehicle. I don't know, Carol, what's the name for these vehicles, but these are the vehicles that assist with the transportation of dead relatives. I know they had something that used to be towed on a 4x4 motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that is here. Things need upgrading, Gerald. Simple. Let's just put it as that. Things need upgrading in terms of access services in the region. And so we don't want it to be like what we see in Georgia. And I think it's at the Young Hospital. Persons reported access service um, eventually die from the illnesses. And then when you do an investigation, it is found that because of negligence, actually resulted in the death of this person. We don't want that because quite recently we had a situation where a patient was at the Mabon Hospital and were not headed back to Georgia with a blood count of 5. I don't know. We had doctors at the Mabon Hospital. As soon as you go there and you look in their opinion, special cases, medevac you right away. And so I trust that these doctors at the Mabon Hospital actually would change their thinking and resort to simple dose. Um, I want to talk a little bit about um, the infrastructure.
The infrastructure there. Go, go right ahead.
I did not get a chance to do it in my budget debate because of time. But I want I
Go
did
right
I
ahead,
have
Ronald.
seen
Go right ahead, and
anything.
then we'll get some closing thoughts from Lex.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I haven't seen anything in the budget. I may be wrong, but I haven't seen anything in there for the Barabina Road. And the residents they asked me the question why. When I spoke with the minister again, he said he believes that the Ministry of Public Works will be undertaking that project. I still need to check the Ministry of Public Works estimates to see what is there. But Barbina has been suffering for the longest while. These persons that walk through water to get to market, get to school, get to work daily. So I want to bring that up. I trust that the government is listening. Somebody is going to tell them that the people of Barbina request that urgent attention be paid to this particular project.
Mm-hmm.
It has been too long. Under the 18 years, Barbina had 2 roads. They were not the best roads, but there are 2 roads. And maintenance and further enhancement would have helped.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Lex, your closing thoughts as we wrap up.
Yeah, sure. We recently witnessed one of the largest budget ever. And that budget includes our oil revenue. That is our money. That's the Guyanese people money. That doesn't belong to any specific person. It belongs to all of us. And we all need to benefit from that. Our region, we have seen some improvement stemming from the coalition government and into this present government. There was some advancement in certain areas, but there's a lot still to be done. And I'm looking forward to seeing what is in place for us from this huge budget. There are a lot of projects to be completed. The roads and so on need to be completed, and I'm hoping that some attention will be paid to that and some more money will be put into our region and specifically the Matakai sub-region where I reside, and there's a lot more to be done here.
Fantastic, fantastic, folks. We're going to leave the conversation there, but we're privileged to have the representative of the region as a councillor, Mr. Lex Barker, and we'd love to hear more from Lex about what's happening in the region there. So, Lex, feel free to stop by anytime and give us an update on as things progress in the region, and we have the national representative of the region there, Member of Parliament Ronald Cox, who has joined us, who joined us for our podcast as well. Both Ronald and Lex, we say thank you for sparing us this time and bringing clarity specifically to this issue of the corruption and the embezzlement there at the regional, the neighborhood democratic council there in that region, and specifically the neighborhood democratic council that is represented by it's a long name, the Port Kaituma, Matthews Ridge, Arankaka, NDC.
Ara,
Guys, thank you so much for your thoughts.
Arakaka.
Arakaka, thank you
Yes.
very much for your thoughts and your guidance on these varied issues. Thanks very much. Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
Gerald.
All right,
Thanks.
folks. That's our program, guys. That's our program. The Arankaka. This is the Port Kaituma, Matthews Ridge, Arankaka, NDC. And you heard it from the representatives of the region, both at the regional level and at the national level for Region 1. Folks, you heard it all here. Below the belt, folks, below the belt. Who vex lose? Who vex, folks? If nonsense happening, they can be exposed. They are going to be exposed, and we're so grateful that you guys joined us. We're going to be back tomorrow for another program, another podcast, Below the Belt. Folks, this is why we ask you guys to come on board and to partner with us. This is why we say come on board and partner with us, because we got to bring you the valid and credible information, the truth. We must promote the truth and defend the facts. That's what we do here. That is what we do here, guys. And we encourage you, if you haven't done so as well, folks, you haven't done so as well. It costs us something. I'd love to do the program for free, but it costs us something for the studio. It costs us something for the lights. It costs me something for the internet, folks. And that's why we ain't going to them, boys. And we know everybody in this country frightened the vindictiveness of this installed regime. And so, we will not get the traditional advertisers always, and that is why we rely on you, the people, to keep moving us forward. We are available via Cash App. There's a $ in the ring 592. That's our Cash App handle. The $ in the ring 592. We're available via PayPal, via Zelle at the same email address, in the ring 592 at gmail.com. In the ring 592 at gmail.com. That's our Zelle and our PayPal email address. We are available via MMG as well, folks, via MMG. Folks, that's local Cash App, the GTD system, the MMG system, 627-6963. We're available via MoneyGram and via Western Union as well, guys. You need any guidance? WhatsApp us on that very MMG number, 627-6963, 627-6963, and we'll be happy to give you any guidance you need. Guys, take some time this weekend for some self-care and to be gentle with yourselves. You're important to us, each and every one of you. You're important to us. Take some time to get in touch with your own spirit, to hear yourself think this weekend, folks. We know sometimes we're hurrying behind work. We are busy behind family, but you got to take care of number one. Like they tell you on the plane, put on your mask first before you put on the mask of somebody else. Guys, have a fantastic weekend. You, each and every one of you, make these programs what they are. Why don't you share the live stream before you go? Why don't you smash that emoji button before you go? Let us know how you guys are feeling this weekend. Thanks for joining us. That's our time here. Below the belt. Who vex? Lose. Stay safe. Stay safe.